Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what part of the world you are watching me from. Today is another Monday, and welcome to a talk show. Let's share it. I hope you had a very lovely weekend. I had a good one, very restful, and I hope you are coping with all the challenges going on with the pandemic. I hope you are keeping safe and keeping well. Please make sure you keep safe and you keep well. Yes, for those of you who are tuning in and listening to me for the first time, I'm here this evening on behalf of Listening Ears Charity. We're an award-winning charity based in the Royal Borough of Greenwich, and we've been going on now for almost 14 years. You know what? Just at the end of this week, we will clock 14 by His grace. On the 30th of October, it will be exactly 14 years that we started. That's 30th October 2006. So we thank God we've been around now for 14 years. And in the 14 years, by the grace of God, we have succeeded in touching so many lives positively. And we basically have three areas of passion for our charity that underpins all the work that we do in the community. And I'll quickly go through those areas of passion with you. The first area is that we are passionate about reducing the level of isolation among elderly people. And we are also very passionate about supporting, empowering, and nurturing young girls along their journey onto adolescence or to womanhood, if you like. And then, of course, finally, we are very passionate about empowering and enlightening local members of our community to take very small steps of change so that they can achieve improved health and total well-being. And around these areas of passion is where we have established and run different projects for the 14 years we have been in existence. One of our projects, which we run to support young girls, Rosebud Center for Girls, that's been going on for 10 years now. Last month, we celebrated our 10th year anniversary. So if you want to see what happened, you can go on YouTube, go on rosebudcenter.org on YouTube, or you go on the Listening Ears YouTube channel, you will find the recording there. Yes, it was a very successful program, and I want to thank all of you who tuned in on that. Because of the pandemic, we had to celebrate the 10-year anniversary online. But it was lovely. We had it on Zoom. It was very lovely. And I really want to express gratitude on behalf of the management, the staff, the volunteers, and the service users of Listening Ears, to those of you who took your time to spend that Saturday afternoon with us. We had a very wonderful time. I'm so excited. So the video is ready. It's on our YouTube channel, so you can always watch it there. And then, of course, our projects that we run to support elderly people to reduce isolation amongst them. It's called the Feel Good Centers. And before the COVID, we had two centers. One runs in Abbeywood on Fridays, and the other runs in Thamesmead every Wednesday. But what we have done since COVID is that we have moved the project online. So we meet online every Wednesday and every Friday from 12 o'clock. So if you have any elderly person, and you can always invite them. They are invited. We are happy to have them on board. And all you need to do is just send us an email to feelgoodcenters@gmail.com or to help@listeningears.org. And then you can check on our website. You see our phone numbers there, and you can phone, and then we can get the ball rolling. We make sure, because we want them to be very healthy and fit, so we support them every week, actually twice a week, to participate in some exercises so that they can keep their limbs moving. You know, they say if you don't use it, you lose it. We don't want them to lose their limbs. So we get it moving every week, twice a week. They have a lot of fun, and then it's always a catch-up time. And then, of course, I want to also say we are grateful to Annington, who the Annington Limited is our corporate sponsor, they have blessed us with a minibus, which we use to go around to say hello to our service users, to drop them food packs. We are keeping the social distance, so we drop it at their door. But it's actually nice to go around to, just see them and peep, just look at them through their doors. It's lovely. So we thank God, everything has been really going on in spite of the COVID. We thank God the projects have been running smoothly. And if anything, there have been quite a lot of advantages for us, because for our elderly people, it gave them opportunity to learn skills that they didn't learn before. I mean, how many elderly people do you see who go on YouTube, who go on Zoom and all that? But you see, my people had to learn quickly, and now all of them are now, so they're actually IT experts, I would say, well, Zoom gurus, I would say, because they come on Zoom now effortlessly twice every week. They have a lot of fun. They do their exercises, they chat, they laugh, they play games, they do all sorts of things on Zoom. So we thank God, in spite of COVID, we are still enjoying ourselves. And for the girls, for the Rosebud Center, the workshops also are running online. Our workshops run on Tuesdays to Fridays from 5 to 6 in the evening, because all the girls go to school. So we run the workshops after school between 5 and 6 o'clock. And then on Saturdays, they have their workshop from 11 to 1 o'clock. Usually on a Saturday, it's usually their cookery club. They're either baking or they are cooking, and it's always a lot of fun. The girls are learning a lot in spite of the COVID. They are learning it in the comfort of their homes, and they are still interacting with one another. So if you have any girl, either your daughter or your niece or your granddaughter or your sister or your neighbor's child, once they are girls and they are between the ages of 9 and 16, you can go on the website of Rosebud Center. That's rosebudcenter.org. And on the website, you will find the enrollment or application form, which you can download, and then you can complete it and send it, because obviously we want to do some due diligence, particularly if the girls are still under 16. We like to get to know their parents, have a chat with them, have a word with them, so that we can do due diligence. And of course, it is always our policy to carry along the parents with the kind of support that we give the girls, so that we can be on the same page, and together we can support these girls and nurture them on their journey to adolescence. Now, today is another session of our talk show, Let's Share It. You remember last week, there was one question, because listeners have been sending in questions, quite a number of them. And then there was one question last week that I promised you that we were going to deal with it this week, because I wanted to make sure I gave you enough information. So I said I was going to bring some more information this week. The question the person asked, she said, is it possible to meet your God-ordained, well, I don't know if it is a she or he, because sometimes you can't tell people's names, people's gender from their names, because some names, quite a number of names, are unisex. Anyway, the listener said, is it possible to meet your God-ordained wife or husband on the social media like Facebook? And I now said, well, because of that question, because part of the things that I had actually lined up that we were going to talk about is online dating. And then since the person, I don't want to keep saying she, because I'm not even sure if it's a lady who asked the question or is a gentleman. But then since online dating is part of the things I already had on the plate, in my folder, as part of the things that we will talk about at some point. So I thought rather than treating that question in isolation last week, it was better if, and then because all the statistics and the things I wanted to talk about, if we have to talk about something like that, obviously I didn't have it on me last week. So I said we were going to talk about it this week. And that's what we are talking about today, online dating. Now, online dating, when you talk about online dating, there are millions, and I mean millions of people who use dating websites. But the irony is, it is supposed to be used by people who are looking for love, but ironically, not all the people who are on Facebook, who are online on dating websites, not all of them are looking for love. Some of them, they are just criminals. They use fake profiles on dating sites. And I thought, because that person asked that question, I thought it was better if we dealt with it and discuss it in details. And that's exactly what I want us to do today. I hope time will be sufficient for us to do it, because I did a lot of research so that at least when we are talking about it today, we can share a lot of information. And if you want to contribute to what I am saying, I'll just give you the phone number to call now. If you want to contribute, you can actually type in the chat box, either on Facebook or on YouTube. I'm online on YouTube. I'm live on YouTube, and I'm also live on a Facebook. But the number to call, if you want to give us a call, is 07554 655 695. I repeat, 07554 655 695. So if you want to contribute or maybe ask a question or add some spices or some onion to what I am talking about, you are most welcome. Yes, as I was saying, there are loads of people on dating websites who are not looking for love. They are just looking for who to scam. And then like I said, I did a lot of research. And then the following statistics I'm going to give you is statistics supplied by the City of London Police. And they cover online fraud nationwide. Now, they said Brits were defrauded out of a staggering £41 million. Can you imagine? That was as at the beginning of 2018, £41 million. And on average, the victims, they lose a shocking £11,500. That's on the average. There might be some of them who will lose more than that, but at least on the average, victims lost £11,500, which is about 2 fifths of an average annual salary. And then, of course, they said the statistics said about 43% of the victims indicated that it had had a significant impact on their health or on their financial well-being. Obviously, somebody who just loses 11,500, and that's the minimum. By the time you don't want to hear all the things I found out when I went to do all this research. So if somebody just loses 11,500 unexpectedly, obviously it's going to have a lot of negative impact on their mental well-being, not just their financial well-being, but even their mental health. And then the report continues and says a further 18% stated that the impact was so severe that they had to receive medical treatment, or they was at the risk of being bankrupt as a result. Can you imagine? That's just ridiculous. Now, those who fall victim to these frauds, they were about 63% of them were women, and about 37% were men. In terms of age, those in their 40s, they were about 22%, and those who are in their 50s, they're about 25%. And about 13% of the reported frauds impacted those who are under 30. And they say evidence suggests that these numbers, they do not actually accurately represent the true scale of the problem due to the embarrassment felt by some people who are victims of the fraud. So they can, because some of them, they feel shy to go and make a report. You see, because the statistics that the police made available is only going to be based on the reports they receive. So there will be lots of people who are probably too ashamed to even go and make a report. So that means those people are not even counted. And you know, one of the terrible things that actually shocked me, that's, well, I don't want to say shocked, that surprised me, is that it's not just women who are kind of victims, but there are men too. And then because there are some women too who are also internet fraudsters. It's just, honestly, it just blows my head away when I was reading all these things and I was looking through them. Anyway, then I'll tell you about their style of activity. The reason why I want us to share this, so that if you people who have been kind of a little paranoid about maybe online dating, is it good, is it not good, should I not? I mean, at least if we share all this information, then you'll be able to make an informed decision. What do you want to do? So they have a style of operation, and they actually have what is called scam packs. It's just unbelievable. When I saw all these things, honestly, I can laugh now, but it wasn't funny because I was wondering, it was so painful because I was wondering, how can these people be so heartless and so wicked? Anyway, they have what is called scam packs. They can purchase their scam packs. The thing is even twisting my tongue. They purchase their scam packs. It contains love letter templates. It contains photographs. It contains videos. And it contains a lot of false identities. Can you imagine? And they get them for as little as a few dollars on the dark web, obviously. And then that is confirmed by a remarkable cybersecurity expert at the Surrey University. Now, you say so many people fall for these scams that the price of the packs has dropped as it has become a high volume scale. Can you imagine? There were so many people who were ordering the scam packs that the price actually had to drop down. Can you imagine? It's just unbelievable. Anyway, ridiculously enough, as dating scams are becoming more widely known, there is evidence that a follow-up scam has been developed where some so-called detectives or investigators, in quotes, they offer to try to recover any money that people have been duped of for a fee. Can you imagine? That's another set of scam. Now, there are some people who are already victims of online dating scams. So there is another set of scammers. They will tell you, oh, if you have been scammed online, we can help you to recover your money, but then you will pay XYZ. So they will charge money again, and then they will say they will help to recover the money. And we at Listening Ears, we are very concerned. You see, because the growth in online dating has led to a rise in organized criminals targeting people for love. And that's why I got really concerned. And we think this is something that we need to talk about so that people can be aware, because a lot of times people do it in ignorance. They do it innocently. Because you see, I believe that there is nobody, anybody who is okay upstairs would not do anything when they know it is wrong, or when they know it is bad, or when they know it is going to give them a negative result. Obviously, they must have been innocent. They thought it was okay, and they did it. So they fell for it. So I thought, after doing all this research, I thought it was important if we shared all the discoveries that I found, and then, of course, so that at least people can have some hint about what happens and how these people operate. And then one of the other thing again that makes us really concerned, at least in is because these crimes, they actually destroy lives, they destroy a lot of lives, and they create a lot of emotional damage. And even that emotional damage, it far outweighs the financial loss. So we are more concerned about the emotional health of people. That's why we thought, you know what, it is important for us to share this information, and then so that people can at least be careful and they can really, see the signs once there are little opportunities or little windows for them to be able to sense it that, hold on, this must be a scam, so that they can at least take a step back. Now, there are more statistics I got. Figures from the National Fraud Intelligence Bureau show that there were 2,824 reports of dating scams back in 2013. You just follow me. That was 2013. 2,824 reports. And the losses that were recorded was 27,344 pounds 814. Now, in 2014, the figure rose from that 2,824, it rose to 3,295. And the losses that were recorded also rose to 32,259,000. Now, in 2015, just 1 year after, the figure rose again to 3,363 cases. And then the money that was lost was 25,800,000, let's just say about 26 million. That was in 2015. And at that time, each victim on the average lost about 10,000. Remember at the beginning when I told you, right now, the average loss is about 11,500 pounds. And the figure has risen drastically of the total number of fraud that was recorded online through online dating. Now, a lot of the online dating fraudsters, they are known to be abroad. Some of them are in West Africa, some are in Eastern Europe, and then it's very difficult for the British law enforcement to take action against them in those jurisdictions, you see, because they are not here. So it is difficult. Then in a dating scam, criminals, they pose as potential matches and they contact people seeking romance or on dating platforms. And then after a period of correspondence and sometimes phone contact, they start asking for money for various excuses. And I actually found some case studies which I will go with you today. Go through with you today. If you want to call to contribute or to ask questions, please, the number to call is 07554 655 695. Now, in the police report, which was analyzed from the Action Fraud Helpline, it estimated in the UK that a victim files a report about dating scams every 3 hours. Can you imagine? It's just ridiculous. It's so painful. And then of those who stated their gender, 61% of the victims were females and 66% they were male. And then while most of the activities occurred on dating websites, the majority of the 15% that was not carried out, that was not on online dating sites, was on Facebook. I don't know if you got what I'm talking about. Now, there were about 15% of all the reported scams on dating websites. 15% of them were on Facebook. So that means the other 85% was on dating websites. And it also said that 213 people admitted that they have been a victim of dating scam more than once. So it's even more than once. It's not just once that they have been victims, which is very sad and very pathetic. Now, part of my research, I actually looked for case studies There was a 68-year-old woman whom, for the purpose of this discussion, I will refer to her as Miss X. She's a well-educated academician, and she fell victim to a fraudster when she tried online dating using one of the very prominent dating sites. You know, there are some of them, they are very prominent, they are very popular. You will think, oh, this one, maybe they are reputable and all that. But, well, they might be a reputable dating site, but then the irony is these fraudsters, I don't know how they do it, but they still have a way of penetrating all these places, regardless of how reputable the websites are. Anyway, this Miss X that we are talking about, she matched with a man who called himself a gentleman, and he said he's from London. And he said he was an interior designer. He said that he also said that he was a Christian. I mean, that's what they always say. And his profile emphasized honesty and trust as part of his values. And then let's call the name of this guy Mr. J. Now, Miss X and Mr. J. Now, he contacted Miss X from what he said was a business trip in South Africa. So by the time he started contacting Miss X, he told her that he was in South Africa. He was on a business trip. And he now said, along the discussions and the relationship, in quotes, he claimed that he has lost his passport and that he said he will lose a contract as a result. So the email started getting a bit frantic, and the phone calls, because in some of the phone calls, Ms. X said, she said, I'm really worried I will lose the contract and this is going to be awful because it's very valuable. That's what he told Miss X. And then, of course, Miss X too, maybe because she has started to fall in love, so she got, I don't know whether I would say she got emotional. Anyway, she got carried away. And then she said, immediately, because I was so believing in him, that's she saying that it's not me. She said, because I was so believing in him, I said, don't worry, Jay, I can loan you some money. Then there was a total eventually of £54,000. Can you beat that? £54,000 she loaned him. Weeks later, Mr. J got in touch and told Miss X that he had £15.5 million trapped in a safe deposit box in Amsterdam. He asked her to go and release it, and she agreed. So she actually went there. You see, these people are so, honestly, I don't even know what to say. They are so calculating. They have all their network here and there. So he had a network. I think Miss X is probably living in Amsterdam. Anyway, so he had an arrangement. He told Miss X that he had this deposit tied up somewhere in Amsterdam. And then he contacted Miss X, gave her all the details of where the so-called money was trapped. And then Miss X, weeks later, Jay got in touch with Miss X and told her that the money was trapped. And then Miss X now took the address that X took the address that Jay gave her and then went to the place. So X said she met two people there. She said she was asked to take a handling fee. He said, I didn't think anything of it. That was about 16,000 euros, which was the handling fee, which obviously was about £13,800. And then they took her to this particular room and they showed her a trunk, which had all these notes in all $100 bills. The men were perfect, according to her. She said the men were perfectly professional. She said she got a so-called receipt for the money that she took as management fee. She had to pay them management fee on behalf of the so-called lover, Mr. J. So she paid that money, and these people gave her receipt, a so-called receipt. And then, of course, Miss X now estimated she lost a total of £140,000 through several scams by whoever John was, that Mr. J. Can you imagine? So it's so terrible. That's how she lost £140,000 to that guy. Now, the dating website said its security systems are constantly scanning for fake profiles, but they added that in this case, that is the one I have just spoken about, communication was switched very quickly to outside the protected dating platform. So the blocking facilities did not manage to prevent further contact with the scammer. So that, I think that's what they usually do. The moment they kind of sweep the victims off their feet, so to speak, then they quickly change their Discord. They give them a kind of a phone number, which of course it will be an existing phone number, but most of the time it's not a registered number. So they give them so that they start communicating on that one. And then even if the dating site was a reputable one, it will be difficult for them to be able to track them because they are no longer communicating on the, you see, because if they are still communicating on the dating website, it is easy for the management of the dating site to block them or to monitor the discussions. And then once they sense any kind of fraud or scam or anything, then they can just block it. But the smart guy will have made sure, he will have said, oh, let's like I'll just give you my number, so we won't need to be communicating on the platform where other people can be reading our letters, our communications, and that kind of stuff. So this particular dating website, they said it was difficult for them to be able to track him or to be able to block him. Then there was actually a professor who is a cyber psychologist, and he said, in case that stupid people fall for romance scams, they can be very clever because they are not stupid at all. They are so clever people. The criminals talk to them morning, afternoon, and night. And they use email to send poetry. They use instant messenger to groom them. They talk to them to keep them awake at night. So they groom them until they are ready to give out money. That's what they do. And, they will think they have found somebody who loves them. So that was the unfortunate story of Miss X, who fell into the hands of Miss J. So that's our first case study. I have another case study. I did a lot of research because I knew it was important to let you understand all this so that you will see the reality of what I am talking about. There is a woman who, in her own word, she said she was love bombed out of more than £300,000. Can you imagine? £300,000. Oh, and then she decided she wanted to share her story with other people so that they could learn a lesson. The woman, obviously, she wants to remain anonymous. And then she said she was swept off her feet. That's in her own words. She said she was swept off her feet when she was contacted by a man she believed to be in Turkey. She said she lost her home, she lost her business, and she took several loans over the 14 months period of their relationship. She said the pressure was horrendous and it got to the point where all the money had gone. That's in her words. And then she was interviewed on BBC Radio York. So the woman, she said she had come out of a bad marriage and she joined a dating website, thinking that she would dip her toe into the dating world. But she thought she was going to be able to find love there, but she didn't. Now, she said in July 2015, she received her first message. She said that she just connected with what seemed to be a very attractive looking person who was really keen to talk to her. You remember I told you there are scam parks. They have loads of photographs there. So even the photographs they are going to post online, none of them belongs to them. Not one. They will have looked for pictures of people who are very handsome or very pretty or very beautiful, obviously, and then they put everything together and they say those are their profile pictures. So she now said that is what happened to this woman. She said the guy appeared to look very handsome and is a very lovely looking guy. And unfortunately, she came out of a very bad marriage. So she was kind of, I don't know whether to use the word desperate, but then she was already kind of frustrated. And she probably thinks, oh, maybe this person will look after her or something like that. Anyway, there is a she this was her term, love bombed. She said she was love bombed. And why she said that? She said because she was just bombarded with all sorts of affection and compliments. And she now said in her own words, listen to what she said. She said, when you are with someone who tells you how awful you are every day for 10 years, and then you suddenly meet somebody who pays you some compliments and tells you how lovely you are looking, how nice you are, how beautiful you are, how pretty you are. She said, obviously, you are going to be swept away. This was what happened to her because of the kind of bad relationship that she was in, the bad marriage, where the husband, I think he always talked her down. He never said anything complimentary to her. He never encouraged her. He was always running her down with his expressions and things. In any case, she felt completely worthless. She felt less than. And then all of a sudden, she met this so-called lover boy online who just kept on saying all sorts of complimentary remarks to her, telling her how pretty she is, how good she is, how nice and all that. So she said she was swept away. And she said after chatting for 6 weeks online, she said they began talking with another messaging service and she was asked for money. Remember, I told you, the moment they kind of know that they have established a little kind of a relationship, then they change. They don't want to keep chatting again on the dating website because they know, they are very much aware that the people who run the websites, they have the opportunity to block them because they can always monitor what they are doing, monitor the activities. And if they find anything that is not looking really safe, they will just block it because they know that. Look at what this lady said. She said they started talking via another messaging service and then she was asked for money. She said she was told the man and his young son had been attacked and mocked. And he said the boy, which is the son, is requiring urgent medical care. She said it was a really bizarre amount of money. It was 3,750 euros, and it wasn't a straightforward amount of money I would have normally associated with a fraud. That's what she said. She now said reluctantly, she sent him the money. She said because she couldn't think of a child in distress. That's in her words. I'm reading her story. She said she couldn't think of a child in distress. And then because they seem to be getting along very well, she thought, what, maybe it's safe after all to give him the money because of the child, because she believed him. She didn't know he was lying. He had no child anywhere that was ill. Anyway, he told her that he and his child had been mocked and that the child was already on admission in the hospital. So she said she now gave him some money. She said she was bombarded with messages from the moment she woke up to when she went to sleep, with further requests for money coming in. She said she did not tell anyone about what was happening and what she was experiencing because she was already getting ashamed of the whole thing. So she now said as soon as the money request came through, it was posed to her that she shouldn't tell anybody because it would look really bad and nobody will understand. She now continued and said, she came from an abusive relationship and then she went straight back into another one. She said the manipulation was so extreme that she was told that if she didn't send the money, they will starve and die. Can you imagine? That's what the guy told. You sending her on a guilt trip that if you don't send the money, they are going to die. Unfortunately, she fell for it. She fell for it, and the guy was obviously lying, but unfortunately, she didn't know. And then she said, you get to the point where you have lost so much money that you believe you have to keep going in the hope that you are wrong. Because after some time, obviously, your gut start to tell you, is this thing okay? But you see, she said that because she has spent so much money, she just kept thinking, oh, maybe she's wrong after all. Maybe it's actually true that they got mugged. Maybe it's true that his child is in the hospital. And she'll be feeling, oh, if the child is actually in the hospital and she's able to help and she doesn't help and the boy dies, she's not going to be able to forgive herself. All that kind of stuff just kept going on in her mind, unfortunately. So after reading fraud advice online, she now went to the police at the start of September of that year. But by that time, more than 300,000 had gone. You heard me right. 300,000 pounds had exchanged hands with this fraudster. Meanwhile, the police tried, but no arrests have been made over the crime. And the other thing that I found out while I was doing my research was that that's also known as a catfishing. So she concluded that she doesn't have any house anymore because her house was gone in the process. She has huge debts and the pressure, but at least now the pressure is gone. So she said she has restarted her life and she's got a good support network now. She decided to publish her story so that it can serve as a kind of a lesson or a deterrent to some people who probably think when people talk about this online dating fraud that maybe it's not real. This is real. This lady is real. Then I'll give you the third. Yeah, I think we still have a little time. I'll give you the third case study, and then of course I'll give you some tips for online safety. Now the third person is this one is a guy. The other two are ladies. This one is a guy, and he said he's from Norfolk. That he's in his 50s, and then he was a victim of a dating fraud. He was contacted by somebody who assumed the identity of an old online friend. They go through your profile, they check out all the people that you know, and I don't know how they do it, but these guys are so smart, and honestly, I don't know, they are so terrible. They are callous, they are wicked. I'm short of adjectives to qualify their character or their behavior. Anyway, so the guy, he handed over his life savings, a total of 15,000 pounds over the course of the scam. It was a lady who scammed this guy, and it took him 3 years to get his finances reorganized, and he's still concerned about his credit rating. So that lady who scammed him pretended as if she knew him through one of his old friends, and I'll tell you quickly, briefly, the story, how it happened. He said it was so strange that she knew so much. You see, these people, I think they will probably go and study. That's why, you know what, I would also advise you, minimize how much information about yourself that you put out there online. Because some people are out there, they are no good. They will just pick up all this information and use it for their own selfish purposes. Anyway, he said she knew so much, and that she said she even mentioned meeting him in London when he had met his real friend 3 years previously. So she has even calculated his journeys, his movements, and she was able to, oh God, this is just terrible. So he now said it wasn't until the evening that she was supposed to be flying over to him, that he was suspicious. He said to start with, he said he just felt like getting in his car and driving off a cliff. He said he didn't go out. He didn't trust people on the phone anymore, on his laptop. He said he just cut everybody off. So he said he had to get help from an independent charity because the thing got so bad. It's an independent charity that supports victim support. And he said that is what saved his life. I mean, look at the poor guy. He almost committed suicide, which, is not funny at all. He has decided he will never use dating sites anymore. And then he said he has taken up ballroom dancing instead, and that he's making a lot of real friends now. You see, he said when he was concluding his story, he said he thought he was an idiot. But if she had been the real person that she had come to her, they would have been a very happy family. But it wasn't that he was an idiot. It's just one of those. And can you imagine the cheek of it? The lady wrote him and said she misses him. Can you imagine? Oh, it's just ridiculous. So but these are real. I decided to look for case studies of people who actually told their own stories so that we can know how serious this thing is, and then we can actually be very careful. So I just wanted to give you some online dating online safety tips. Sorry. Yes, I wanted to give some online safety tips so that at least you will be careful and it wouldn't be easy for anybody to be able to scam you. Now, one of the things you need to know is that criminals who commit romance fraud, they troll through profiles and they piece together information such as wealth and lifestyle in order to manipulate their victims. The police can investigate and help to provide support, but often your money cannot be got back. Your money cannot be retrieved, even if they caught the person. It's always very simple for fraudsters to cover their tracks by masking IP addresses and using unregistered phone numbers. Then another tip or hint is that you should never send money to anyone you have met online that you have never met physically. And then you think twice about posting personal information which could be used to manipulate or to bribe you. Then never give money to people you meet online, no matter what emotional or pitiful story they tell you. I mean, look at that lady, who was told by that guy that he and his son, they were attacked, and that the son is already admitted in hospital and that he was dying. It will sound like something that one needed to pity them, but I think the bottom line is you shouldn't just be unnecessarily emotional about things like this. You should use our head. And then people are also advised to talk to friends and family about those that they are in touch with online. It's a very good, if you have anybody that you are chatting with online, it is important to at least make sure somebody knows about it. You will have a friend who is close to you that you can confide in, because even if at that time, if you can't really see the handwriting, it is very likely that the person you are discussing with will see the handwriting, and they can always just kind of pull you back a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, so that's all we'll be able to take today. And next week we will go into but from next week I want us to actually start to talk about relationships, because I've gotten a lot of people who have asked questions, who have called, who have made a lot of inquiries and seeking advice about different things. So we will start to talk about that one from next week. And then in addition to that, you see, I do a lot of reading, and I have a few people that inspire me. So I do a lot of listening to what they say. So a lot of times I jot down a lot of things which make some sense to me, and I think it's something that one needs to ponder about. So one of the things I've been doing, I've been writing down all these things, and then I thought I'll be sharing it with you, and then we can exchange ideas. They are very insightful things. I mean, there are things that will make you, for me, I call them food for thought, so that it just allows one to think deeply about certain things that one will probably just ordinarily not have bothered to think about. But then when you now think deeply about it, you will be wondering, oh, why did I just ignore that particular information? So things like that are what we'll start to share from next week. And I'd like to use this opportunity again to request that our charity, we are still uh, welcoming people who want to become our partners. Becoming a partner to Listening Ears is supporting us every month with as little as £5 donation, so that we can be enabled to continue to render our life transforming services in the community. So if you want to support us, you can go on our website. Our account details are there. Or if you want, you can email us at help@listeningears.org or feelgoodcenters@gmail.com. And then if you have some time, we are actually looking for telephone befrienders. You see, because before the lockdown, we had a program, a project that we run, which we call Community Angels. It's an outreach and a befriending program. So what we do is we have volunteers who go to visit our very isolated service users in their homes. We take the service to them in their homes. They spend an hour with them a week, and they are free to spend that hour the way they like. They agree between the service user and the volunteer what they want to do. They might decide that the 1 hour they just want to have a chat, have a laugh. They can decide to watch TV together. If the service user is still physically able, they can take a walk. But because of the COVID and because of all the ongoing regulations about social distancing and all that, it's not been possible for us to send any volunteer to people's homes. So what we are trying to do now is to offer telephone befriending. So please, if you have a flair for supporting people on the phone, we are looking for telephone befrienders, please. You can send us an email to help@listeningears.org or to feelgoodcenters@gmail.com. And then if you want to volunteer in different other areas, maybe you have some skills that you want to share, maybe to give some sessions to our elderly people online, maybe you do some arts and crafts, or you do things that you think can get them gainfully occupied, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. So until next week, please take care of yourself and each other. The Lord bless you for spending time to come online to share with me today. So I'll see you next week by God's grace. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye. Yeah, Facebook.